Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner. Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, May 25th, 9 a.m. meeting of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. We'll begin today's meeting with a flag salute led by Sheriff Donnie Youngblood. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, please stay standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, I would like to call on Nick Cullen, Director of the Animal Services Department, to introduce our Pet of the Week.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Who do we have here today?
This morning, this is Kitty. Kitty is very interested at the audience.
Oh, yeah.
Kitty's about a 9-month-old Chihuahua. She came to us just 2 days ago. She's going to be available for adoption on Thursday. She's available for temporary foster right now. She could literally go home with somebody right now.
Heck yeah. Well, thanks for bringing her down. Hopefully we can find her a forever home.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Nick.
Did you say that dog's name is Kitty?
I did. She's not a kitty, but her name is Kitty. Yes.
All right.
We're pleased to welcome back members of the public into the board chamber with available seating for up to 65 attendees at this time. While limited seating is available, the current public comment protocols remain in place, so testimony and general public comment are still accepted via email or voice message to the clerk of the board prior to today's meeting, and live comments via teleconference will be heard during this meeting. We'll begin today by, Madam Clerk, can we go out of order and take public presentations before we get to the consent agenda and revisit that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have a few items that require a 4/5 vote on the consent agenda, so it would be my recommendation to go ahead and take public presentations out of order. We'll hear that, and then we'll hear approve the consent agenda after that.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so we'll begin by considering item number 7, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask questions for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name before making your presentation. And Madam Clerk, do we have anybody waiting on the queue to speak to the board?
We do. Actually, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we have public comment via email. You received one email from Ruth Tisdale, county employee. You have that email in front of you. It's concerning wage increases. And we also have 7 county employees who have provided voice messages concerning wage increases. We're going to hear those 7 voice messages now.
Okay.
And then we'll hear from the public in the board chamber and the public waiting on the line, on the telephone line.
Great, thank you.
Yes, my name is Robin Walters, and I am calling about the investment of the American Rescue Plan funds. I'm a proud member of SEIU and a county worker with the Public Defender's Office. As a deputy public defender, I and many other county employees worked throughout the pandemic. We provided essential services to the hundreds of thousands of our friends and neighbors, all of whom rely on county services. Now, the American Rescue Plan makes it possible for you to invest in county workers, like social workers, protecting our children at the risk of their own personal safety, mental health workers, protecting some of our most vulnerable, elections office staff, protecting one of our fundamental rights, the right to vote, public health, helping us all navigate this pandemic, and so many other county workers who keep our roads safe, our libraries open, our computers running, our taxes flowing, and our food safe. All of these people are committed despite the fact they have not seen a raise for 13 years, despite the lack of living wages. I want to encourage you to use the American Rescue Plan funds to recognize and invest in what keeps this county running, its workers. Whether it's raises or perhaps a stipend to honor all they have done through the pandemic. An investment in county workers honors them, the job they do, and stimulates the local economy because they spend local. County workers deserve your support. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Narvaez Galindo. Maryann, Narvaez, N-A-R-V as in Victor, A-E-Z, Galindo, G-A-L-I-N-D-O. I'm calling on regarding our wages. If that is one of the on the board agenda today, I would like to leave a comment stating that we do deserve a raise. We haven't had raises since over 13 years. So if we could please just take concern of our matter and let our voice be heard, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Item number 521. My name is Shanice Ernest. It's S-H-A-W-N-E-C-E. Last name's Ernest, E-A-R-N-E-S-T. Basically, I'm just calling to state that the 13 years without respect or appropriate wages is more than enough. We work very hard and we're not receiving sufficient wages to support our families. It needs to be addressed and appropriate action needs to be taken.
This is Latasha Pulliam, L-A-T-A-S-H-A, last name P-U-L-L-I-A-M, calling just to have the board's ear in a cost of living adjustment for county workers. A cost of living increase is being given all over California, and Kern County employees should not be excluded. Thank you.
Hello, members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Gloria Zacharias, and that's G-L-O-R-I-A, last name Zacharias, Z like in Zulu, A-C-A-R-I-A-S, like in Sam. The purpose of my call today is to urge you and or demand an investment into Kern County workers. This is in regards to the wage increase on your agenda, and I have been a member of Kern County all my life, and it is an embarrassment for Kern County that workers are not considered essential workers, have not been given a raise, and how dare you? You are elected officials. You are to take care of all of the county workers that do the many services for this county. I'm sure that somewhere you have thought about it or maybe tossed it aside or on the back burner, but I demand and urge you to increase the wages of all county workers that deserve it. It has been too long for them not to be recognized or respected. And I would hope that if you want the same respect from all Kern County residents, that you do the right thing and increase the wages of these Kern County workers. Thank you so much.
Yes, this is for public comment on the AM session. My name is Deborah McClanahan, McClanahan. I am a 20-year voting constituent of District 2. I'm also an SEIU Local 521 member. And I just want to bring to the attention of the board Ryan Alsup's April 27th letter encouraging the Board of Supervisors to approve the B3K findings. And my concern is that the board chooses to elect to support a wage of $15 plus and $21 plus to outside industries, but yet it fails to look at its own employees. And I'd like to have a better understanding as to why the Board of Supervisors refuses to look at its own employees and take care of their own employees rather than promoting outside businesses. They need to start looking at home first. That's really all I have to say. I don't have an understanding. I'd like to have an understanding as to why the Board of Supervisors chooses elsewhere rather than at home. Thank you.
This is Patricia Ferdon, PatriciaFerdon. I'm calling regarding pay raises. It's been 13 years since we've had a pay raise with the cost of living going up continuously. All the county has done is cut our benefits. We had to pay for health insurance, and it's about time that you give us a pay raise. So it always seems like the budget comes up with extra money after our contract is signed. Please reconsider this. Bye.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we have two callers on the line. First, we're going to hear from Dolores Huerta. Mrs. Huerta, if you would unmute your phone by pressing *6, you have 2 minutes to address the board. Please unmute your phone by pressing *6, Dolores Huerta, and we'll be happy to hear from you.
Hello, this is Dolores Huerta. I just want to join the voices that came before me and to say to the Board of Supervisors, there are no longer any excuses. The money is there to provide the county workers a wage increase, $175 million from the American Rescue Plan, $21 million in the budget surplus that you have. You were elected to serve your constituents. These workers are your constituents, their families are your constituents, and since you personally cannot go out there and deliver the services that they need, the social workers, the probation officers, all of these county workers that do this heavy lifting in the county, especially coming out of the pandemic, that the county workers have to do the work for you. And so you are directly responsible to make sure that they get a livable wage. There are no more excuses. The time is now. The money is there. The county workers should not have to wait one more day to get a wage increase. And I also want to say that the Dolores Huerta Foundation, I know that the Board of Supervisors has been recognizing community benefit organization. The Dolores Huerta Foundation, we have been working here in the county for over 17 years, working directly with the public. Right now we are doing door-to-door visits to people to get them vaccinated, make the appointments for them to get vaccinated. Last weekend we had 10 food banks to feed people. So we are out there serving the public, and this is what the County Board of Supervisors needs to do. You need to also take your responsibility seriously. Give these county workers the wage increase that they need. Now is the time. Kern County, we need to be more than number one in sports. We need to be number one in the way that we treat the workers that work for our county. This is really what reflects who we are, the values that we have. The people of Kern County deserve The services that they are receiving, the people that are delivering those services need to be compensated. And yes, the Board of Supervisors, you are responsible for this. Thank you very much. Do it now. The money is there. Thank you.
Thank you. The next caller we have is Jeff Schwartz. Mr. Schwartz, if you would unmute your phone by pressing *6. You have 2 minutes to address the board.
Hello. Hundreds of well-educated and reputable immunologists, molecular biologists, doctors, and scientists are going on record with the claim of PCR test fraud. They're saying the PCR procedure says absolutely nothing about clinical infection. Hundreds of attorneys are preparing lawsuits in California and internationally, which will show in court that the PCR procedure is not a valid test for infection or contagiousness. The test is fatally flawed and being used in a fraudulent manner. If any of this is true, can you imagine what this means? Because virtually every scary statistic we've heard about COVID is based on this particular procedure or other so-called tests which have the same problems. These scientists and doctors say the PCR procedure can only say that there is some molecule, but exactly what that molecule is or whether it's the SARS-CoV-2 virus, nobody can say for sure. Even Tony Fauci admits that a positive PCR test run in the currently approved setting above 35 cycles can only tell you you've picked up dead nucleotides that are not likely replication competent. To assert the PCR procedure currently in operation is a valid way to diagnose the presence of a deadly illness or contagiousness of a deadly disease is fraudulent. The truth is coming out that the COVID affair is the biggest scandal of our generation. The people involved are going to be held into account, and the court's doors are now flying open. All perpetrators will be sued for liability and reparations to the people who've lost businesses or income from this, and for pain and suffering. The World Health Organization is also going to be sued. This is not a joke. We demand you take these issues seriously and look into them. Don't wait. You can verify what I'm saying by watching the brief video entitled Crimes Against Humanity, tinyurl.com/2YH2Z4HW. The truth is coming out, and more people are waking up every day. You've hereby been put on notice.
Sir, could you bring your comments to a close? You're well over the time limit.
Failure to look into this could be construed as negligence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, now it would be appropriate to hear from people in the audience who would like to address your board under public presentations.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can we have our first speaker come to the dais, please?
Good morning, Chairman Peters and Board of Supervisors. My name is Francisco Martinez. I have been a Kern County worker for 18 years. I am a CPS social service worker. I live in District 2, and I'm a proud member of SEIU 521. I'm here again to remind the Board of Supervisors that your inaction to address stagnant wages, short staffing, and rampant turnover continues to hurt our community's access to critical services and care. I'm here again to remind the Board of Supervisors that the quality of care should always be considered as an investment, and your lack of investment puts families and children at risk. I'm here again to remind the Board of Supervisors that social service workers report to their job duties every day because we care about our communities and we care about the services we provide to our clients. I'm here again asking the Board of Supervisors to care about us, many of whom have not seen a cost of living increase in over a decade. Again, I'm here to remind all of you that the majority of American voters made it clear in November that the time to invest in essential workers is now. Working families like us led the fight for federal relief and delivered through the American Relief Plan. This is $175 million for Kern County that is designated for investment in public services and jobs. In conclusion, the $21 million budget surplus found in February of this year, plus the $175 million in federal relief, does not and should not translate to a slush fund for picking and choosing priorities. The needs of Kern County residents cannot continue to wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have our next speaker, please?
Hello, my name is Veronica Vasquez. I'm speaking on behalf of SEIU Labor and the City of Delano, the second largest city in Kern County. I'm also the Vice Mayor. I've been speaking with constituents about recruitment and retention for the county employees, how it affects the second largest city, 40% turnover rate, what that means for our community. Our welfare office is the second largest, which entails constituents who are also employees. We've been asking for a livable wage after 13 years, and I've explained how this impacts the services being provided. Also, the staff who provide the welfare services, some need the same services because of low wages. Next, I'm going to talk about the homeless center in Delano, the treatment of the families and clients who Delano Association for the Developmentally Delayed, DADD, who have silenced and ignored the concerns of those families because of the use of the DADD building being used. Once again, I'm asking Supervisor Couch and his stakeholders to speak with the City of Delano constituents to answer questions. The two-sheet response is vague, and the committee has follow-up questions. I've spoken to the constituents who include DADD families who found out a year later of the plan who are not allowed to attend DADD board meetings to state their concerns, which your memo said DADD has an open door policy. No, it doesn't. DADD families will be taking out their loved ones from the services because they are concerned with the current plan. Now DADD clients will be displaced. I've been explaining to the constituents, unfortunately, this is the pattern of Board of Supervisors treatment to the employees who are also constituents. I'm asking again, do the right thing and pay your employees fair wages. I'm asking again, Supervisor Couch, you and your stakeholders attend the Delano City Council meeting to have a conversation with the constituents about the homeless center. Their voices matter and shouldn't be silenced with the memo. And to be honest with you, this is an all-time low, and I'm absolutely disgusted of how the DADD clients are being treated. They go through a lot with their family members because of their health, and now they're going through this. I can't believe it. And to hear that, and I continue to get phone calls, rightfully so, because now this is an additional stressor that they have to deal with that they shouldn't have to deal with. How can you treat people like that?
Can you bring your comments to a close, please?
I will continue to advocate for labor and City of Delano to give them a voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have our next speaker, please?
Hi, my name is Riddhi Patel. Very often, the county supervisors will try to pit working class people against each other. They say, well, if this community or this organization or this union asks for something, another community, organization, or union won't be able to get what they need. That is false, and there's more than enough to provide our communities with their basic necessities. I was born and raised here in Bakersfield and am in Supervisor Couch's district. And while I've only worked for my organization for a short time, I've seen communities continue to beg for the bare minimum, like streetlights, sidewalks, and fair wages. I've seen the county supervisors fail to protect the communities it was elected to represent. David Couch, Leticia Perez, Philip Peters, and Mike Maggard. You have rank and file members of the largest union in the county telling you what they want. You were not elected to tell them what you want. You were elected to do what they tell you to do. There's more than enough for all of us, and we will not fall into the trap that people in power and power-hungry bosses lay out, that we can, in fact, have it all. This county refuses to look at the major issues that are present and fix them. I also find it ironic that you all get paid more than $100,000 to say that these workers, these rank and file members who work just as hard as you do, don't deserve fair wages and higher wages. That's why our organization, the Center on Race, Poverty, the Environment, an environmental justice organization born out of the agricultural labor movement in the 60s and the 70s, headquartered in Supervisor Couch's district, stands shoulder to shoulder and holds the line with SEIU, 521, and UDWA rank and file members and their demands for fair wages and investments in public wealth. Do your job.
Okay, can we have our next speaker, please?
Good morning. My name is Nick Cott. I work in the Auditor Controllers Department through ITS as a systems analyst, and I'm an active voter residing in District 1. I have served Kern County for almost 11 years, which is to say that I've watched the compensation for my labor erode to inflation over my entire career. Not too long ago, I came before the board to explain that due to our stagnant wages, workers are leaving county employment. At the time, 2 of our team of 6 had recently left for positions in local organizations with better compensation. What that meant for myself and the rest of my team is more work covering their responsibilities and more work training those that we hired to replace them. And because nothing is materially changed in our employment, now one of those people that we have worked hard to train has left for, you guessed it, a position with better compensation. And I know that I'm not alone in this experience. Across the board, those of us who remain loyally serving the county are being punished by stagnant compensation and increasing workloads. Our declining ability to serve the county is the realization of austerity politics. I spent this past weekend writing and rewriting this several times, trying to come up with the right combination of words and points to make to you that would result in some sort of progress. But to me, the reality is obvious. When the cost of living increases, and it has, and our compensation stays the same, it has, what we have is a decreasing standard of living. If that is how you treat the people who serve the citizens of Kern County, then you're showing everyone that you don't care about Kern County. I sincerely hope that is unintentional and that you correct this mistake that has gone on far too long. Thank you.
Okay, can we have our next speaker, please?
Good morning. My name is Gustavo Aguirre, and I'm with the Center on Race, Poverty, and the Environment. My background is on labor, 25 years working for as farm worker and also with the United Farm Workers Union. So I totally understand, the request of the workers. I think that what I heard is the turnover is very high. My daughter-in-law started working at the Social Services Department, and she moved to another industry because she saw no real opportunities for her to advance in that department. So I think that shows something that I also personally know that is happening. And I think in the past, you put the money in other departments, and I think it's time to give these workers a raise because, if they are thinking about, their personal material needs and economic needs, they will not be concentrating in providing the services that the Kern County residents deserve. So please consider that. I think their monies are there. Looks like there is not an excuse at this point to not give them a raise that they really deserve. And, we just had a meeting with Mr. Couch last week about the community investments, which is very important. But I think Kern County needs a comprehensive approach, not only for community investments or for sheriff, but also to provide the services, because my organization, at the end of the day, what we want to see is a good health for Kern County residents. So that's why I'm advocating here. Yes, we are an EJ organization, but we know that the needs for the Kern County residents is not only community investments or good air quality, but it's a comprehensive approach. Thank you for considering that.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? Okay, seeing none, we're going to jump back to the consent agenda. Oh, yes, sorry, I didn't see you there, Supervisor Perez.
Thank you so much. I appreciate members of our county family being out here today and expressing, with such creativity, the reality of your life. And I am heavy-hearted, as always, on this issue. We talk about it a lot in closed session. And Ryan, are you comfortable, or do you have a response that we can give? I know this matter is not agendized, We have been working on it for some time. Is there something that can be said to these folks that came here in response to their passionate pleas?
So as it concerns ARPA and investments in the county and our county's workforce, those are things that are being worked on, and they're being worked on in the context of the federal government's guidelines on those. The Department of Treasury has issued guidelines on how all of that is to be done. A lot of that is becoming more clear by the day, and that work continues, making sure that we are going to recommend a plan to your board that meets all of the guidelines of the feds on how that money is expended. It's certainly our intention to expend that in a way that supports both our county business activity, our services, making sure that all of those are supported for the period of time that it is allowed under federal guidance, and also how we're able to support members of our workforce through that program. Those are things that we're working on. I will say that providing an across-the-board living adjustments and salary for our workforce have been elusive, just haven't been fiscally attainable, despite what some may say. We have not been able to do that. Providing a 1% increase in compensation for our county workforce, including everybody, that's $8 million annually going forward. So if you do the math, it adds up pretty quickly. We've got to do that, not so that it's a 1 year or 2 year solution, but it's got to be sustainable. It's got to be something we're able to pay for going forward for years to come. So that is the problem. The problem is that we have not had the ability to do that in the time that I've been here. In the 4 years I've been here, we are working on it. It's due to the limited growth we get in our key revenue sources and the overall increases year to year in the cost of doing business. We'd like to be in a position to provide more regular cost of living adjustments for all of our employees, but that is going to be only possible through our continued efforts on dealing with developing our revenue sources, making sure there's growth in those revenue sources going forward, and it will likely come with some compensation reform efforts that we would like to undertake in order to provide our employees a regular cost of living adjustment. These complaints that overall, in general, it's not everybody, but the bulk of the complaints that we get on compensation primarily stem from those county employees who are run through all of their available step increases. Those are 5% salary adjustments every year for the first 5 years somebody is employed by the county. Once they run through those steps, those employees top out. And therein lies the problem. When somebody either does not have the ability to promote, depending on where they are, maybe they are unsuccessful at promoting into a higher salary range and step adjustments, or maybe they just don't want to, which is fine. But the problems related to being topped out and seeing no growth in your compensation are legitimate, and it is a real problem for our organization, and one that we need to take a serious approach and step forward in trying to solve. We've got to find a way to do that. I will say that with regard to SEIU and seeing no increases in wages or stagnant compensation, again, I would say that offering employees a regular COLA is something that I think is important and we need to do. We are making a a significant effort, my staff and I, and department heads, in trying to get ourselves in a position to do it. But over the past, and I'm not going to go back over the 13 years, but in just the past 4 years, we have been as creative and as innovative as we possibly can as an organization to try and do what we can to both respect and reward our employees, given all of the headwind we have. In just the past 4 years, your board has provided salary increases of between 5% and 25% for nearly 1,300 members of SEIU. You've also provided 14 additional paid days off through negotiations with their union. There has been step increases that we've maintained of 5% for SEIU members. Over the last 4 years, the county has provided 6,692 5% salary adjustments to SEIU members, with many of those members receiving multiple 5% bumps in salary during that time. Now, I'm not saying that to discount the pleas from our workforce or any of these fine people and fine employees that we have coming up to speak before us today. I do believe that our organization's ability to provide a COLA is important. We need to be able to do that on a regular basis. We are working toward that effort, but it's got to come through some work that needs to be done on the revenue side. We need to get more revenue coming into the county. We are also challenged by the increasing costs of doing business that are increasing each and every year. All of that is happening while we're continuing to sustain our current salary structure system where we're providing the bumps, but we've got half of our organization, probably a little bit over half, that are topped out and are seeing their wages kept stagnant going forward. It's a real problem. So that is a very long-winded response to your question. I could only tell our employees that we're doing what we can to be as creative as we can to provide them with growth in their pay where we can. But the issue of a COLA is one that we're working on. It is one that is, in my mind, separate from ARPA and the federal stimulus. That is a separate matter, and again, we're working on how we're bucketing that money. And there is a plan for our workforce in how we expend that money. But that is being worked on and will be done in compliance with federal guidelines. We need to get to a place where we can do a COLA, and we're looking forward to working with our bargaining groups on getting there. Thank you.
Ryan, thank you so much for your lengthy response. That was longer than I expected. I don't even know if that makes sense or if that, often it's hard to follow a presentation of that nature. So I hope that that is helpful. If it is not, I believe we're going to continue to meet. I know, Ryan, that you're continuing your team to work with these folks as we've discussed this at length in closed session. And I assure you, my colleagues would love to provide a raise to you today. I promise you. I know that's hard for you to believe. I believe it. We are working, I hope, as diligently as is humanly possible, because that is certainly the impression that we have in order to address this pressing and critical need to our county family members. So again, my apologies for your disappointment. I understand it, and it is heavy, and I am hopeful that in the near future we'll provide information to you that is beneficial and optimistic. But until then, thank you for your hard work for Kern County. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. Are there any other comments from the board? Okay, we're going to move to the consent agenda. All items listed with the CA above the items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If a member of the public wishes to comment or ask questions regarding an item on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. A member of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. A member of the public may also comment on any closed session item. At this time, I'll read the consent agenda item numbers, and that is items 1 through 6 on page 2, 9 through 15 on page 3, 16 through 23 on page 4, 24 through 32 on page 5, 33 through 40 on page 6, 41 through 48 on page 7, 49 through 56 on page 8, 57 through 64 on page 9, and lastly, item 65 on page 10. Madam Clerk, are there any members of the public wishing to speak?
I don't have any members online. However, I believe we have someone in the audience, Mr. Steve Lloyd. Did you want to address one of the consent agenda items?
Good morning. Steve Lloyd from Lloyd's Aviation and Bakersfield Jet Center. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the supervisors for your time and your consideration on these issues. I want to speak to the RFI and resolution Mr. Witso has submitted for your approval. I would like to start by thanking Mr. Witso for his commitment to the health and financial stability of Meadowsfield. The RFI is a good and equitable way to seek growth of the airport, which is our county's business gateway. The resolution attached to the RFI clears an obstacle to allow for the continued growth of the airport and local businesses that operate on it. This month, we at Lloyd's Aviation celebrate our 63rd anniversary of Meadowsfield. In that time, we have grown as a company to a point my dad would have hardly recognized. Now, as I look to the future of the airport and our community, I know we will accomplish what we cannot imagine today. My family, along with the 45 families our company supports, are proud to represent our county as aviation ambassadors. Meadowsfield is a portal through which companies can grow, and we look forward to making that happen for the next generation. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak on the consent agenda? Okay, would any of the board like an item removed for discussion? Supervisor Scrivener.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, as ex-Scrivener, I'm going to abstain on the following consent calendar items due to my wife's employment, items number 54, 55, 56. And so, Madam Clerk, please record my abstention on each of these 3 items, even though I will vote on the motion to approve the consent agenda. My vote will only be for the remaining items. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion on consent as revised by Supervisor Scrivener.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Couch.
Looking for the item number. It's the item Mr. Lloyd just spoke of.
I believe it was item 9.
Item 9. Could I ask for separate consideration of that? Is Mr. Witso here today?
I believe he's on the Teams meeting.
He's
We can
available
set
by
that
Teams.
aside.
I'd like to ask for separate consideration of that item. Thank you.
Okay, great. Do we need, Madam Clerk, a new motion, or do we just move forward with the motion that we have and then approve item 9 separately?
Yes, but we do need a second.
Okay. Is there?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Perez. Okay, please cast your votes.
Okay, the motion is approved, all ayes, so item 9 will be heard in its normal numerical sequence.
Great, thank you. Okay, next we'll consider item number 8, board member announcements or reports. And I'd like to begin by asking Bryn Kerrigan, Director of Public Health Services, to provide an update on the COVID-19 pandemic.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Kern County remains in the orange tier this week. We have seen an overall improvement in our metrics. Hospitalizations have remained stable, and we are seeing an increase in vaccination since my last presentation to your board 2 weeks ago. Specifically, our case rate is 2.6 per 100,000 people, down from 3.2 per 100,000 people last week, and down even further from 3.4 per 100,000 people the week before that. Our testing positivity rate this week is 1.5%, down from 1.6% last week and down from 1.7% the week prior to that. Our health equity positivity rate is 2.0% this week, slightly up from 1.9% last week and 1.9% the week prior to that. Our metrics must meet the less restrictive tier threshold for at least 2 consecutive weeks, so the earliest Kern could be eligible for the yellow tier is June 9th. Last week, the state announced the framework for Beyond the Blueprint. In summary, when the blueprint retires, very limited measures will remain, and all sectors that are currently subject to the blueprint may return to usual operations. The only exception to this is for what the state is referring to as mega events. A mega event is defined as an indoor event with more than 5,000 people or an outdoor event with more than 10,000 people. Indoor mega events are required to verify fully vaccinated status or pre-entry negative COVID-19 tests and to follow whatever the CDPH masking guidance requires at that time. Employers will be subject to the Cal-OSHA COVID-19 Prevention Emergency Temporary Standards. Proposed revisions to the existing standards will be heard by their board on June 3rd. The proposed changes include easing of masking and physical distancing requirements in the workplace. CDPH will continue to provide guidance for healthcare settings, youth settings, and high-risk congregate settings. As of May 13th, children aged 12 to 15 became eligible for vaccination in Kern County. Adding this age group adjusted our total eligible population from 657,703 people to 716,568 people. So our percentage of vaccinated population appears to have decreased due to this increase in eligible population. As of yesterday, the county has been allocated 428,965 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. 543,448 doses have been administered to Kern County residents. 251,893 people have completed their vaccination series, which is about 27.4% of our total population and 35.2% of our eligible population, which is 12 years of age and older. Another 64,511 people have received 1 dose of their 2-dose series, meaning 44% of our 12 and older population is either partially or fully vaccinated. 66,187 people 65 and older have completed their vaccination series, meaning 61.4% of our 65 and older population has been fully vaccinated. 4,270 doses have been administered to adolescents 12 to 15 years of age. This is about 7% of our adolescent population. We continue to see the number of doses administered to decline. However, for the week of May 10th, the number of first doses administered actually increased from the previous week for the first time since doses began the decline, meaning a higher number of Kern County residents began their vaccination series the week of May 10th than the week prior. If we project based on the rate we have been administering vaccine over the past 4 weeks, and including the fact that we have now 12 to 15-year-olds eligible for vaccination, it will take 68 weeks to fully vaccinate the rest of our eligible population. In addition to our mass vaccination efforts, we have also recently created a consortium of sorts with all of Kern's mobile vaccination providers and our vaccination providers who are willing to vaccinate in locations other than their own facilities. We meet weekly and are in the process of developing a community calendar for all the mobile vaccination events. This meeting is also used to link the requested events with a mobile vaccination provider. In addition, we're working with our Waste Hunger, Not Food partners to schedule mobile vaccination clinics in conjunction with food distribution events. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that concludes my update.
Thank you, Ms. Kerrigan. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Kerrigan, for your report. Tell me again about mega events. So how do how do our professional sports, we certainly see big crowds at professional activity, professional games. How are those affected by this mega event rule?
So if the total number of people attending that event exceeds 5,000 people indoors or 10,000 people outdoors, then they do fall in that mega event category. If you're an indoor mega event, you are required to verify vaccination status or a negative pre-entry COVID-19 test status for those that are entering. For those mega events that are 10,000 or more outdoors, there is no requirement, but it's recommended that you do the same.
So do those same rules apply then for high school youth sports and college sports?
Supervisor Maggard, through the chair, it's unclear. The state's release for what the blueprint for a safer economy is going to look like once it's retired does say that youth events will have some guidance documents associated with them, but they have not yet showed us what those guidance documents look like.
That'll be something the public will be very interested in, I suspect. I just want to ask you a little bit this morning about it's obvious that our hospital capacity is in good shape and we have the ability to treat anybody who needs it. And I'm grateful that that we seem to be moving in the right direction. With regard to those who are hesitant to avail themselves of the vaccinations that we have available to them, can you give us a little bit of insight as to what we're doing to reach out to them?
Absolutely, Supervisor Maggard, through the chair. We are going door to door with a canvassing team, trying to provide education and answer any questions that individuals may have. We've also launched what we call vaccine information booths, where we go to places that members of our community frequent. We set up a booth. We have nurses that staff that booth to answer any questions that those individuals may have. We've also established a nurse hotline where any individual within our community can call and speak directly with one of our nurses to ask and get answers to any questions that they may have about the vaccine. We have launched PSAs on TV. We have information inside of our Get buses. We're launching a campaign in all of our parks. We have about 225 parks throughout Kern County that has information related to the vaccine and gives people a place where they can go to get their questions answered. We have social media presence and a website, all directed towards answering any questions that our community may have.
Do you know if we're on any church campuses or back to school nights, as that's going to happen, I think, again? What are we doing in that regard?
Absolutely, we're partnering. We started partnering with high schools when the vaccine eligibility was only those that are 16 and older, but now we've launched into junior highs and elementary schools. We've partnered with all of the school districts and our Office of Education. They're using their channels to send out information and also making us available our contact information to those parents of those individuals that are in schools. And we've also branched into partnering with many churches, and we're expanding that effort as well to branch into all of those that are partners with the Waste Hunger effort as well.
I'm certainly not the only person at the dais who's done this, but I have walked neighborhoods and knocked on thousands and thousands of doors. The vast majority of people are not home. So do we have any, I worry about I'm concerned about the efficacy of our walking these neighborhoods. Do we have any sense of how productive that effort is?
Supervisor Maggard, through the chair, we do believe it's productive. We do leave behind information on the door if individuals aren't home, so they are still getting that material. And we do answer a lot of questions from members of our community when we are out in these neighborhoods.
I think it would be helpful, and maybe we're already doing this, but I think it would be helpful if we had a van in which we had folks that had the vaccines available so that somebody can simply walk out their door and walk to the curb and they can get their shot right there on the spot. Is that available? Is that something is that something we're considering?
So we do have multiple mobile units that we have deployed within our community, and we do canvass typically surrounding the area right before there's a mobile event in that neighborhood to try to drive those community members to that mobile event in the community. So we are endeavoring into that, but we can look at doing more, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Last idea, using reverse 911 to call into those neighborhoods. Are we doing that?
Supervisor Maggard, through the chair, yes, we are.
Very good. Thank you for your outstanding leadership and effort, and the effort of all the people across the county for their efforts in this. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. I do have a quick question. I think this may be a better question for Mr. Alsop, but I know there was an article recently that kind of intimated that the Kern County Fair might not be happening because of our vaccination site there. Have you guys spoken with the Fair Board, or have there been any communications with the Fair on that front?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. There were reports in by at least a couple of media organizations that I noticed last week that those reports suggested that because the county has been contracting for certain portions of the fairgrounds to do whether it's testing, contact tracing, and now really our big push on vaccinations. Because of that, the fair is not going to happen. At no time has the county contacted the association, the Fair Board, to say that they cannot have a fair. Whether or not a fair is conducted is completely up to them. They're a state association separate from the county, and that is a decision that they make. And seemingly, if that decision is made, it will be they will have to contemplate and navigate and be in compliance with any state public health directives on large events. And not just those guidelines as they are laid out mid-June by the governor, but whatever the guidelines are due to whatever the status will be related to the pandemic in late September, early October when they hold the fair. So with that said, the county has communicated, I have communicated personally with Mr. Alcott over the weekend to let him know that the county is not standing in their way. At no time have we told them not to have the fair. That's their decision, and if they decide to do it, we will accommodate with our operations out there and pivot as we do well, and so that they can provide the fair, and we will work with them during that time to continue to provide testing, free testing for the fairgoers, free vaccinations for the fairgoers. That's something I think could be beneficial and productive. But whether the fair goes on or not here in Kern County this year is up to the Fair Board.
Thank you. Supervisor Maggard, do you have another question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your leadership bringing this issue forward. It's important to many people in our community, particularly in the ag community, that so much of the fair is centered around and the youth programs that go with it. So I appreciate, Mr. Chairman, you're bringing attention to this. Mr. Alsop, how much money has the county paid to the Kern County Fair, not the board, but the enterprise that is the Kern County Fair? How much have we paid them during the COVID times?
Over the past, let's just say 12 months, we've paid them, and through the remainder of our contract with them, I think that's through September, we'll have paid them just about $1.5 million without any additional cost on their side, in addition to the money that we paid them for leasing space. We've provided about almost $800,000 in capital improvements out there, really bolstering their Wi-Fi efficacy, which is really important to conducting a fair. They've had problems with it in the past. That was on their own list to fix. We fixed that. We've paved a parking lot out there. We've built fences. So all of those are capital investments that the county has done via CARES into the fairgrounds that I think is beneficial long-term for them.
So about $2.3 million when you add in the infrastructure that we have assisted with, plus just the fee to use the buildings that are already our buildings.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I think that money has come at a very, very opportune and needy, and a time when they have desperately needed those funds. Every depiction of the fair that I hear is that it has been in dire financial straits, and I suspect those dollars have made a significant difference in their ability to sustain the fair for everyone else. But I do hope that they will consider that, as you have suggested, Mr. Chairman, and it will be a great opportunity for us to provide those who are willing to avail themselves of it vaccinations and shots. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your leadership.
Yeah, that's a great point, Supervisor Meggard. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you very much. Before moving on, I would like to announce that the Board of Supervisors will hold a special meeting on Monday, June 28th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the board chambers to conduct a community forum called for by the California Transparent Review of Unjust Transfers and Holds Act, or TRUTH Act. The forum is open to the public, and the public will be invited to provide comment, which is provided for in Government Code Section 7283.1D. And with that, we will jump back to item number 9, which is the request for interest process to ascertain market needs by qualified fixed-base operators. Proposed resolution finding real property exempt surplus land, and the request for authorization to submit the California Department of Housing and Community Development. And with that, I'd call on Mr. Whitso.
Could I jump in there since I was the one that pulled that off before? So instead of having Mark Whitso, our airport director, go through a long report, I just want to ask him to get to my question. I read this, the board letter and the resolution a couple of times, and I kept looking for some land. I want to better understand this Surplus Land Act and the action that's being requested of us and what will result in going through this process going forward. Mr. Whitso, can you kind of address that? It feels to me like we're making a decision on declaring something surplus when we don't really even know at this point what parcels we are talking about. That's my uncomfortableness, if that's a word.
Thank you, Supervisor Couch. Is Director Whitso on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line. Thank you, Supervisor Couch, through the chair. I'm Mark Whitso, Director of Airports, virtually in the meeting with you today. Changes in the Surplus Land Act have changed the airport's relationship with leasing. New regulations require that all long-term leases go through a particular process for existing developed airport land or for new land to be developed. And it requires that we either open it up for other community interests or for housing, or we declare it as exempt. And I believe that within the context of the airport, all the land within Meadowsfield Airport and our other general aviation airports is dedicated to the pursuit of aviation and the commercial businesses around aviation. And so this exemption then allows the airports department to engage with tenants on long-term leases. And it is my working with county council that even though we're doing this particular resolution, that you might see a resolution like this in the future for, say, a long-term lease at Kern Valley Airport or at Wasco Airport or at Taft Airport. And it is just our compliance with the regulation within the Department of Housing and Community Development to declare land exempt from low-cost housing and other community development interests.
Mark, so taking this action means we don't have to go through the process outlined in the Surplus Land Act because we've declared it exempt. Is that what you're telling us?
Supervisor Couch, through the chair, yes, that's exactly the end result.
Thank you. I'll move approval then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Please cast your votes.
Thank you. The motion is approved, all ayes, and I will confirm that we didn't have any other public comment on that item.
I apologize. Thanks for catching that. Okay, having no more items to consider in open session, I would entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to consider County Administrative Office item number 66 and County Council item number 67.
So moved.
Okay, without objection, we're adjourned.
and engineers and humans and astronauts working together to fix them.
They have a very successful, almost month-long mission, and